I made multiple six figures from LinkedIn, and I never had to blast out a bunch of cold pitches to a bunch of people who were never going to read my message or post a bunch of cringy content that no one cared about. Instead, I developed the LinkedIn Flywheel system, which essentially allows me to land high ticket B2B clients consistently. Let's dive in and I'll walk you through it. So this system is directly responsible for allowing me to scale to multiple six figures with my agency and with my clients. But what people don't realize is that the LinkedIn Flywheel is composed of three components. And I'm gonna break a belief right now. LinkedIn content is not number one. The only people telling you that you need to be posting content on LinkedIn and growing your following are the people that have the big following on LinkedIn. You don't need to be having some big following or posting a bunch of content on LinkedIn to actually close high ticket clients. What you absolutely need is an outbound process and system in play, because LinkedIn outbound is 1000% king. And the problem is that most people don't have a methodology of going about it, and I'm gonna show you here in this video how to, but you just need to understand that LinkedIn outbound is number one by far. Then you can transition into LinkedIn ads, but only after you confirm and validate your offer organically with outbound. Once you're getting people closed over the line for high ticket sales with LinkedIn outbound, you can put that money back into LinkedIn ads because now you have a validated offer. Super, super important. And then last on the list is content. Again, I probably post maybe once a week with content. You do not have to post that much on LinkedIn at all, if at all. I've closed a ton of deals and I've gone months, almost 6 to 12 months without posting any content, and it's never been an issue. Okay, so don't worry about LinkedIn content. It is the last thing you can do, or it's supplementary at that to help you with your outbound process. Outbound is number one. Now let's go into how we can actually make outbound work, so then that way you're not sounding like everybody else that's trying to pitch people on LinkedIn. Now I'm sure you've heard of Sales Navigator before, but you probably don't know how to use it effectively. Now there are a ton of filters that you could use on Sales Navigator. As you can see, if you've used it before, if you tried to make LinkedIn work, there's a ton of filters on here, but you don't even need a majority of them. You really just need these 5. Industry keywords, geography, second degree connection, or third degree, depending on how big your following is, lead title, and company headcount. Okay, industry keywords is by far number one. You need to make sure you dial in your industry keywords. So as you can see from this search here, we have a methodology with it. This is called a Boolean search, but the typical Boolean search will have the brackets around it. We don't do that. We actually find that not having the brackets is way better. Let's say you're going after a specific niche. Here I just have like consulting or consulting firms, and I'm excluding everything that I don't want. So I don't want marketing agencies, I don't want staffing and recruiting, I don't want wealth management firms, I don't want whatever, right? I'm gonna exclude a bunch of keywords that could cross-pollinate into my niche, into my industry that I'm targeting. But I just want consulting firms or founders and CEOs of consulting firms, which is what you'll see in this list, right? Founder, like Warren, is Zenith Consulting Group. We have Shireen, CEO of Major Strategic Consulting. Some of them aren't really just called consulting, but they have consulting within their industry. So it's very targeted. And then we get about 1,000 leads. We want anywhere from about 1,000 to 2,000, 2,500 leads to test per outbound campaign. So you want to make sure that you get ultra targeted with this and making sure that you get them down. So you're not trying to target like 1 million or 500,000 people on LinkedIn. You don't need that many people. You just need the right amount with the right type of clients. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get super detailed on that. Industry keywords is 1000% number one. Like for example, you can go after lawyers and then just only type in like defense attorney or criminal defense attorney or divorce attorney, whatever. And you're just gonna get a list of attorneys that are super highly targeted, instead of just having random people in there, like, again, staffing and recruiting, which you're not trying to market to them, but they might be trying to market to law firms, and you need to exclude them in your search. So you get a really dialed in search. You can get about 95 to 98% of the way there with a really good lead list. The rest is gonna be geography, second degree, lead title. Now, the important thing to note about lead title and company headcount is that it really depends who you're targeting. So if you're trying to go for these big companies of like 5,000 employees, 1,000 to 5,000 employees, you're probably not going to get a meeting with a CEO or a founder. It's just not likely. But you will get meetings with the department head of marketing or operations. So you target those decision makers for your offer. But let's say you are trying to get the founder CEO on a phone, you're probably going to want to do anywhere from 10 to 50 headcount of a company. So then that way you know that you have a better chance of reaching the person that you're trying to speak with for your offer. Now, speaking of the offer, that's the next thing we need to go into. So once you have your lead list and you know who you're targeting, and we have a good list in place, we need to develop an offer that's going to stand out from the rest of the market, because the truth is most people pitching on LinkedIn, they have these big messages that go out and no one cares what's being said and it always gets overlooked. We're not going to do that, okay? And the way that we do this is making sure we have an offer, or what we call a proprietary method for our own service, that's going to cut through the noise of the market. And the way that we build this is from 3 pillars of your service delivery, and then 3 benefits that will generate the client transformation. This is what people care about. And then the fun thing about it is that you can name it what you want. So like name it the proprietary method of your own. We call ours the LinkedIn flywheel. You can call yours something else. And the reason why we do this is, like, if we just went to the market and we were like, hey, we're gonna run you LinkedIn ads, they're gonna be like, great, I've heard that all before, because a lot of these people get a ton of different pitches and they've heard all of the claims. But if I went to them and I said, let's say I went to an attorney's office and I said, hey, I can get you more cases with the LinkedIn flywheel, allowing you to not only just get more qualified appointment cases through the door, but actually allow you to close them a lot faster by reducing your sales cycle or reducing your closing time. They're gonna be like, oh, that sounds a lot better. How do we get started? Or tell me more, right? And people are gonna take me up on that offer. I mean, I'm just coming up with that at the top of my mind. How I'd really wanna go about constructing the offer is using something like ChatGPT or Claude to do a deep dive research on the pain of the current market state. What's the biggest pain? Desire on what it is that they want the most right now, and then what's blocking them from getting that desire and keeping them in a state of pain. Once you find out these things right here, you're going to directly relate it to your offer, okay? And then that's why you see a lot of people on LinkedIn that have like the I help X achieve Y without Z type of thing that they put in their headline. Like, it's the value statement, I guess you could say. That's essentially what this is, but we need to put it into a formulaic approach within LinkedIn of when we're doing the outbound. It needs to sound right. And that's what you're gonna relate it to when you create your offer. You're gonna put it in your service delivery. So for example, it's like we have, generate appointments for pillar number 1, qualified appointments. Number 2 would be nurturing automations, right? So nurturing automations, and then we'd have, like, let's say sales process to close, okay? And we would relay it specifically, the benefits, to relieving this pain, getting this desire, removing this blocker, and then that would go directly to the client transformation. So when you communicate your offer effectively on LinkedIn, you won't only just book more appointments, you will actually get more people closed over the line. But that's just one component, okay? That's one component. You need to absolutely position yourself as the authority. Now, the way that we do that is one of 2 ways right here. Now, your profile depends on who you're targeting. So for me, you can see mine here is very passive, and I'm blending in with other founders, other CEOs that I'm trying to connect with and see if they're a good fit for my service. So I just do a really clean setup of my city skyline. I got a nice clear headshot. I've got a clean headline here that I'm just the founder of my company. I got a little bit of status here that I have some followers, nothing crazy, but I've got a little bit of a following over time. But here's the thing, is LinkedIn is a status game. People are gonna judge you based off of your profile, and if it doesn't hit, they're not gonna connect with you. Now, I get to do the passive approach because many people in my market go with the direct approach and they look like just pure marketers, which isn't gonna help the conversion rate for me. I want to help my conversion rate, so I'm gonna actually take the passive approach and blend into my market. And this might be the case for you. So if you see when you're doing your lead list search and you notice a lot of people would probably get pitched a lot by somebody like you probably want to go more passive. If this market that you are targeting doesn't get a ton of pitches and they don't get marketed to a lot, then you can go as more of that direct approach, which is more of that like standout authority, like James here. James, if you're watching this, I screenshotted your profile. It's a great example. And as you can see, it's like a billboard, right? It's almost like a landing page. It's very much branded. He's telling people what he does. He's got a really clear headline that's a little bit more in depth. He's got his followers, and it's very status driven. It's very much a direct authority approach, which is what he might need for his niche, and it's probably working for him, right? The difference between the two, again, comes down to who you're targeting. You're either blending in passively and you're booking appointments that way, or you're standing out more directly and you're booking appointments that way. And again, it just comes down to who you target. So very, very important on how you go about this. This will also directly relate to the messaging later, which is what we're gonna actually dive into right now. So as you know, on LinkedIn, there is an automation approach. Now, do your own due diligence. LinkedIn is cracking down on automation, but I do know that there's tools out there on helping you with automating this process, but I want to give you the process even if you're not using automation right now on how to actually generate appointments onto the calendar, okay? So we'll dive in. And the very first thing that you need to understand is that connecting with leads on LinkedIn is a methodical approach. So your connection message needs to have either a commonality and a question combined, or you don't send one at all. And just a little tip, what I noticed right now is that many people don't actually send connection messages anymore on LinkedIn because many people were doing them. But now when the pendulum swings one way, you need to do the opposite, right? Kind of like the profiles that I just broke down for you, is when everybody does one thing, you do the opposite to stand out. So what I'd recommend is that you do a commonality plus a question. You can do like, hey, I saw we're both in New York City, notice that you're in the X space, would love to connect. Are you open to connecting? Something like that, right? Really, really simple. It's gonna show a human side, and a lot of people are gonna be open to connecting with you. And I'll break down the data in a second, but that's the first thing. Next is that once they connect with you, we're gonna do a welcome message about a day later, and we're gonna either pitch or probe. Now this depends on a passive approach or a direct approach, or what we like to say an engagement approach, which is more of that probe side. And the pitch side is obviously more direct, it's direct response. I'm more of a fan of pitching and being more direct only because of how good I've gotten with putting offers together for LinkedIn. That's just me. Some of you, depending on your market, might need to go more with the probe approach where you ask a couple open-ended questions about your ICP's situation, right? Their current pain, their current desire, whatever it is that they're going through. You want to ask a quick open-ended question, and then you can lead in with the pitch after. All right, so very, very important. From there, what we like to do is follow this sequence, and you can go ahead and screenshot this, but this sequence is what's going to allow you to follow up and add context. Now, I can't tell you the amount of times that 2 weeks has gone by and our last follow-up message goes out there adding some more context on our offer and who we help, and that person will book a call 2 weeks later and then end up becoming a client. It happens, but the problem is that most people don't do follow-up on LinkedIn. So obviously having automation in place will help with this, but make sure that you add in a follow-up layer to what it is that you're doing, and just always add context to why you're following up, why you're reaching out, so you can remind people and stay top of mind with your offer. And then we also like to add in some actions in there as well, like a LinkedIn like, endorse, or follow them on their profile. And ultimately what this is gonna do is fill your calendar, okay? You're gonna get meetings consistently, just like you see there on the sales calendar. And here's the thing to note when it comes to understanding your outbound. This is a little equation that we have here. And what this is basically testing your outbound. You wanna be able to test your offer to the market. So what we like to do is have the niche stay consistent. The niche needs to stay the same. Don't just jump between niches because you're not getting replies for a week or a month. Stay with it for like 60 to 90 days and just optimize your offer. Just get better. And the way that we do that is we listen to the feedback from the market. So let's say we reach out, we have our offer that we developed earlier, and then we're gonna get a feedback, either a message or from our call that we book, what happens on the call, if we close, if we don't close, whatever that feedback is, positive or negative, we're gonna feed it back into our offer, iterate and optimize it, and send it back out to the outbound sequence again. Meaning that if somebody is not connecting with you, okay, then we need to solve the constraint for the connection message in our profile. If somebody is connecting with you, but they're not really replying, maybe we need to follow up more. If they're replying, but they're not taking us up on our call, well, then maybe we just need to have a better offer, and so on and so forth. Let's say they're getting on the call, but they're not the best fit. Maybe we need to adjust our targeting if that keeps happening consistently. Maybe that we get them to the sales call, but we're just not closing. Okay, we need to either work on our sales skills or we need to optimize our sales process. Really, really think about it in depth with these details, and you take the feedback consistently and feed it back into the market and consistently push that out. And over time, you're going to refine your offer, it gets better and better, and you'll just start to flood in appointments as you become the hottest offer on the block for that niche. And that's what happens. And you do not need a following for this. I'm telling you right now, if you do this consistently, you'll get very, very good at it. Okay? Now, what most people don't do is track their data within this process. So if you've been watching the video up until this point, thanks for sticking around. I want to give you this outbound tracking sheet, and it's what we use to see the KPIs of our outbound process and actually getting booked appointments and getting those booked appointments turned into real revenue from high ticket clients. So if you want this, just go ahead and go down below, click the link. I'll leave it here in the description for you. You can go ahead and access it yourself. It's my gift to you, so enjoy. So once you're getting appointments booked, you want to make sure that your B2B sales process is put in place correctly. Now, what most people get wrong is that they think that in a B2B setting, they can treat it like it's an inbound process or paid ad process. It's not the same. Inbound traffic is not the same as outbound traffic if you're doing LinkedIn outbound. So you need to treat it accordingly. It's not that it doesn't work, it's just most people don't know how to make it work. So you're gonna do a 2-call close, and you're gonna have a nurture sequence in place and making sure that you have your reminders in place. And then you're gonna book call number 2 and do a pre-selling VSL. There's a video sales letter that is anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes long. Do not make it like a B2C webinar or like VSL where it's like half an hour or more. Just do 3 to 5 minutes explaining who you help, the pain you solve, and the blockers that you remove for the desired result that the transformation of the client really, really wants. And you put in social proof and you make a quick little video on that and how you can help someone. You are gonna get right to the point and people are gonna see that you can solve their problem. That's all you need. Then when you get on that last call, you close and you take that feedback and you go right to the market to increase the validity of the LinkedIn flywheel. And you just repeat this process over and over again because now you have momentum, you have motion, as the kids are saying these days. And it's the exact reason why, obviously, we've been able to scale our agency and collect high ticket payments like you can see here, but even our clients are getting massive wins with huge sales coming through in different niches and industries and B2B. And you can just pause and read a lot of the stuff that our clients are saying, but it's been absolutely awesome to see that this LinkedIn process is still cooking. The thing with LinkedIn is that it's still so untapped and underutilized because people do not know how to put this process into play to sell high-ticket B2B services. So if that's you and you have any questions about this process, I'll leave a link down below to ask them. You can go ahead and book a call and see if it's a good fit for you to install this LinkedIn system, or you can message me on Instagram and ask me any questions there. I'm happy to answer them, but go ahead, try this out for yourself, implement what we put here today in front of you, and give it a shot. Cheers.